Right, I think it's time to get going. So I'm going to share my screen and we will kick off. So welcome everybody. It's fantastic to see you all this morning. We've got a great session lined up for you, and certainly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules. I know we're all really busy. All sorts of things going on, especially start of the new year and all the everything that's going on, and this will be a chance to take a little bit of a break out of maybe some of the madness that's going on in the world, certainly with the news in the US last night. And we're going to make sure that you feel that you have made good use of your time and used it wisely. So this is an overview of what we've got lined up for you between now and 11 o'clock. And I'm delighted to welcome Mark Wright as our main speaker, as our keynote speaker, but we do have some other great sessions as well lined up for you, as other great topics within it. And effectively, this is a launch session within the Worcestershire and the Marches areas for the national rollout of the Peer Networks programme. And we're going to cover a little bit more about that in a minute or two. We've also got a little bit of light relief with something we're calling the M&M challenge. No prizes at the moment for guessing what that might be to do with, but there is a serious message underlying that as well. So there's a little bit of a challenge we've got going for you. Usual rules. I mean, we're so used to being on Zoom now, I'm sure everybody, please do put yourself on mute and so that we're free from any background distractions that people might have. It sounds lovely and quiet at the minute, so I think everybody's done that already. What you might notice as well in the chat is that for the time being, we've limited the chat to being able to chat with the hosts only, and there's a reason for that, and you'll see that in a minute. So we'll just take you through that. So that's the lineup of what we've got for this morning. The aims of this morning, so we want to inspire you and to motivate you to aim higher, but also to act on what you hear today. And that does include hopefully committing to wanting to join the Peer Networks programme if you think it would be appropriate for you. But even if you don't, then I'm sure that you're going to have some great takeaways from the session this morning. So, and of course, we hope that you can have a little bit of fun along the way and enjoy it. Before we go fully into the meeting agenda, I'd like to introduce Sally Stevenson, and Sally is the Business Engagement Manager for Worcestershire Business Central and is responsible for the rollout of the Peer Networks programme within the Worcestershire area. So, and Sally's counterpoint over in the Marches is Catherine Jones. And Sally, can I just hand over to you, maybe if you'd like to say a few words?
Certainly. Thank you, Kevin. Welcome, everybody. It's so amazing to see so many people on a Zoom call on a Thursday morning. It really is really great because I'm so pleased that you're excited about learning about the offer that we've got here, that we're working with Kevin and his team on. The Peer Networks is a national programme that we are rolling out with our partners. Obviously, in this case, it's with Kevin, which we're really delighted about, to help businesses like yourselves to gain the benefit from working together and help you move forward over this next few months. As you know, it's not an easy time, and we're really excited that we can offer this through Kevin and the team. It'll be great. It's great that Mark's here too, because I know he knows a lot of the programs that we've run with Kevin before, and I think he's a bit of a fan. So it'll be good to hear him talk. Yeah, so thank you for coming. I really hope that you're keen to join the program. It is free, obviously. So on behalf of the LEP, both in the Marches and for Worcestershire and for the Growth Hub as well, thank you for joining, and hope you enjoy and get a lot out of this.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sally. Good stuff. Right. So let's start with that challenge. And here is the challenge for you. I'm going to give you a minute or so. And what I'd like you to do, I don't want anybody to shout out. What I'd like you to do is make your own estimate of how many M&Ms there are in the jar. And there is an underlying message to this that we'll do cover a little bit later. So the jar is 14.5 centimeters high and a diameter of 11.5 centimeters. At the top, You can see it tapers down a little bit. For those of you that like real money, that's 4.5 inches wide and 5.7 inches tall. So I'll give you a few seconds, think it through, and then what I'd like you to do, you should be able to pick out Les Gutteridge in the chat, in the hosts, and I would like you to message Les with your best estimate as to how many M&Ms there are in the jar. And we will, of course, sort some prizes out for the actual number of people closest to the actual number. So I'll just keep quiet for a few seconds to allow you to think.
Kevin, Les isn't in the chat to direct message.
Oh.
Louise, Mark and Caroline are.
Okay, could you message Caroline then, please? Thank you for pointing that out, Richard.
No worries.
And Caroline can download the chat and send it to Les.
He's the one with the M&Ms, is he?
he's the one with them all laid out in front of him, and he's counting them as we speak. One for you, one for me.
Tasty.
Right, so you should probably have been able to make your estimates now. Caroline, have we had a good number come through in the chat?
Yeah, they're still coming now.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll allow them to still come in. We're not closing that off, so we'll keep sending them in, but we'll start to move on now. So yeah, get your answers down quickly as you can, and we'll move on now. All right, and we'll come back to this later. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Wright. You're in for a treat. I've had the pleasure of inviting Mark, as he's already mentioned, to a few events, or as Sally's mentioned, since that we've run since he was initially introduced to me by Hannah Hatfield of Make More Noise PR. And yeah, I'm absolutely delighted that Mark's agreed to come back again and talk to us again and share his experiences. Mark, would you like to share your screen now while I carry on introducing you? So if I stop my share and if you start sharing yours. So just a little bit of background to Mark for those of you that don't know. Mark is an entrepreneur and a businessman with a really quite remarkable story, which saw him going from living out of his rucksack essentially in a London hostel to launching his own search engine optimization business called Climb Online with Lord Alan Sugar after Mark won series 10 of the BBC show The Apprentice in 2014. And you won't fail to be inspired by his journey. It really is an inspirational story. And what you may not realize is that he is the most successful of the apprentices to date. He is the only one, remains the only one to have exceeded £1 million turnover in his first year of trading. And he's become renowned, and the company's become renowned for its disruptive approach to digital marketing and working with all sorts of household brands to scale and grow and generate profits. So he's built that business into multi-million-pound turnover business now with more than 35 employees. He's won a number of accolades, including Entrepreneurs Team of the Year in 2018, in the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and also Entrepreneur of the Year in 2018 in the UK Business Awards. But that's enough ego stroking for Mark. I don't really think he needs his ego stroking anymore. So Mark, can I hand over to you, and thank you again for joining us today.
Good morning, Kevin. Good to be with you. I might log off now because I don't think I can do better than that introduction. That was sensational. And that's why I keep coming back, Kevin. You spoil me with your praise that you pour over me. But now I'm actually going to have to do some work. It's amazing. I wasn't expecting to see so many people on here. And first of all, Happy New Year to you all. And it's a credit that given the circumstances we find ourselves in the world, that people are still so hungry to learn and take on 2021. Because I genuinely believe that this time there will be fortunes made and businesses created and products designed and developed that are the market leaders for the future to come. It's in the hard times, in recessions, in pandemics, where the big business leaders stand out from the best. And it's always the people who have a different mindset. And I'm going to get into that. So today I'm going to take you through a few different subjects. I'm going to rattle on for about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And then I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions. And as I'm going along through my presentation, today is really for you to get as much benefit from this session as you can. So if you have any questions about anything that I say, any comments, please pop them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end. So let's rock and roll, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about my favorite subject, myself. I'm just going to give you a bit of a background about me and how I got to speaking to you today. So as you can tell by my handsome voice, I'm from the land that is much better than you guys at cricket and rugby. We call it Australia. And I'm from a very small town in the outback called Armidale. It's a very, very small town. My nan informs me by handwriting that we've just got our first set of traffic lights. So, you know, things are really moving along in Armidale. So you can see why I'm such a star. When I grew up in Armidale, I was in the half of the class that made the top half possible. If you ever receive an email from me, you will understand quite quickly that I'm dyslexic. I can't read and write very well, and I didn't do very well at school. I'm sure that's the story that bores you to death about entrepreneurs, but there is a common pattern between not being told what to do, not being very good at being talked at. Entrepreneurs are generally people who need to do it for themselves, and I was one of those people. But I was from a very small town, and very quickly I knew that I wanted to be a businessman. When I grew up, all I wanted to tell my parents, as much as they'd listen, is when I grow up, I'm going to be a big businessman. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be a businessman. But I didn't know in what business, and I didn't know how the bloody hell I was going to do it. But I just knew I was going to do it. And that's the first step, I think, to being successful, is setting your mind to something and really focusing on it. But I knew I wanted to be a businessman. I knew I was going to be rich. I knew I was going to be successful, but I had to find out in what. When I finished school, I finished with no grades. My business studies teacher wrote in my final assessment of me, "Mark does not understand the fundamental concepts of business and should never get a desk job." Well, I'd like to see his Barclays account and mine today, but we digress. We digress. So I went on the internet and I had a quick look at what was the quickest business I could open with no qualifications. And Google quickly told me that the quickest qualifications I could get was to become a personal trainer. It required a 5 to 6 week online course where I could do all of it and then open my own personal training studio, which I did. So I moved from Armidale to Brisbane, got to Brisbane. It has 3 million people. Now, I've quickly learned in business, you need to go where the people are. There's no good being a big fish in a small pond. You'd rather be a big fish in a big pond. So I got up to Brisbane, 3 million people there, bigger market, started my personal training studio. And I had the good fortune of starting to train one of the richest men in the town and in the country at the time. And I said to him, "How do I get rich? I want to be really rich." And he said, "Son, don't be a personal trainer." That was a bit of a problem. It was now the only qualification that I had. And I said, "Well, who makes all the money? How do business people make money?" And he said, "The money is in sales and marketing." He said, "The people that always make the money are the salesmen and the marketeers." So I quit my personal training studio and I went to work at the personal training college where I did my personal training certificate. And the chap there had invented a course where basically you could upload any educational curriculum and do it online. And because Australia is such a vast country, people would travel 6-7 hours by car or train to go to school because there was no other way of doing it. And this guy had invented the system to do online learning in Australia. It was an amazing course. It was an amazing system, but when I started the first month I was like $1,900, $2,000 in sales. And the business was going under because the guy had invented a great product, but it wasn't selling to anyone. And I said to him, "Listen, we need to get this to more people. This is a sensational product. What are we doing to sort of market it?" And he said, "I've listed us in the yellow pages." And I kind of was like, "Okay, I don't know what that is, but people don't use the yellow pages anymore. That's like the old people's thing. We need to use the internet. We need to use Google. We need to get it to the top of Google when people type in stuff to make sure that we're there." And he's like, "I don't know anything about that." So I taught myself how to make a website, and I taught myself how to do SEO, and I got it ranking #1 on Google for the words personal training course. And in 3 months, the business went from $2,000 in sales to $240,000 a month in sales. And the light bulb went off in my head. I saw the phone ringing, the emails coming in, the leads coming in, and it was honestly like lightning hit me in the chest. And I was like, this is huge. If a business can understand the power of getting leads in, and you can get those leads in any quantity, you can make as much money as you want. The dominoes just started lining up for myself, and I kind of found my calling. I knew I was going to teach people, and I knew I was going to help businesses get more leads, because the key to success in business is sales. The more sales you get, if your margin is correct, you have to make money. It's so simple. People like to overcomplicate business. If you get lots of sales and your margin makes you a profit, you make money. And I knew that this is what I was going to teach people. But I learned a very important lesson. Ask for equity in someone's business before you make it successful, not after, because I approached the guy after I was making him 250 grand a month, and he didn't want anything to do with me because I'd given him the secret sauce, Mark's secret recipe. So I did what everyone does from Australia. I got my rucksack together, like Kevin said, a few pairs of jeans and some shirts, and I went around Europe backpacking for a couple of years until I ran out of money in Berlin, in Germany, in about 2012. I had to come to the closest place which spoke English, which was London. I was living in the White Ferry House Hostel in London, in Victoria. I went to an internet cafe, wrote up a CV. I didn't have a laptop or a phone or anything like that because I was new to the country. Went to an internet cafe, made a CV, and I walked from the high street on Victoria to Hammersmith every day for 5 days until I got a job as a door-to-door salesman selling Google ads. Started working for one of the biggest Google ads companies in the UK at the time, 73 offices, 500 employees. And I really disagreed with the way they were treating their staff. I really disagreed with the way they treated their customers. We have a saying in Australia, don't get bitter, get better. So I put together a CV for what I thought would be a leading digital marketing ethical company that treated their customers correctly, that treated their staff correctly, and I took it to the banks. But as you will know, trying to generate money when you have no revenue, you have nothing behind you, is very difficult. And not only I had nothing behind me, I'd never run a business before, I wasn't from this country. So I was in a position where banks wouldn't even let me open an account, let alone give me a loan. So one of my friends said to me, hey bro, why don't you try out for The Apprentice? I said, what's The Apprentice? He said, it's a TV program where an old man yells at you, but you get the chance to win this load of money. So I went with my friend Blake to Tottenham Court Road in London a couple of Saturdays after. And bearing in mind, I'm working at this big place, I have absolutely no money, went down to the Apprentice tryouts. 73,000 other people came to the tryouts for Series 14 of The Apprentice with me. So I'm with all of these thousands of people, everyone wearing their suits and their cologne. And as they say, the rest is history. I started with 70,000 people at the tryouts. That went to 50, 40, 30, 10, 1,000 into the final 20 that went onto the program. And then I won the program. Still to this day, the Apprentice tryouts is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in business and in life. It was very stressful, very long process. And anyone who's on this call that will have been through the Apprentice tryouts will understand that, you know, you're doing things like lining you up in 100 people, and they say line each other up in the best looking to the worst looking. So you're sort of grabbing these ladies and taking them to the worst looking end. And trust me, you only want to do that once. And they do another thing like stand you on a stage and say, okay, tell us a joke. And you start telling a joke and they say, stop, what's this times this minus this as a percentage? Stop, do something that surprises us. Stop. And they're constantly applying pressure to understand how people react under pressure. And what I understood from the people who designed the tryouts is they work with clinical psychiatrists and psychologists to understand that if you put 70,000 people into a filter almost of certain layers of stress, the thing about business is the people who are successful are not genuinely the best business people that make it. They're the ones who last the longest. They're the one that can stand the process, because business is about knowing the stuff. And we have people like the peer networks and Kevin to teach us the stuff. Learning the stuff is easy if you're part of the right network. If you're part of the right group, you know the stuff, but it's about staying in there long enough. So went on to the Apprentice Series 10-1. That became Lord Sugar's business partner. He said, "You're going to be my business partner." And I said, "Wow, that's really cool. Now what happens?" So the next day I left the Apprentice boardroom, and I'd never met Lord Sugar outside of the Apprentice process. I'd only seen him across the sort of boardroom table, never seen him in real life, so to speak, one-on-one. And he messaged me on WhatsApp and said, "Come round to my flat." So I go around to his flat on a Sunday afternoon in my three-piece suit. I looked incredibly handsome, as you can imagine. And I walked into his flat, which, by the way, is not a flat. It's like the poshest hotel in central London. And I go up into his flat. It has its own elevator that opens up into this absolutely beautiful flat. I walk into his living room, and he's like wearing like casual clothes, and I have on a full three-piece suit with the puffer and the whole deal, trying to make a good impression. And I have my business plan and my CV, and I've already won the Apprentice at this point. And he says to me, "All right, so how are we gonna, what's your plan to get this business started?" And I said, "Lord Sugar, thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I won't let you down." And I gave him my CV, and he took my CV and he ripped it up into like 30 pieces and threw it onto the floor in front of my eyes. And he said, "I don't care how far you can throw a fucking boomerang. Let's do some business." And I think that was like the moment where it all hit me, and I realized how serious the opportunity was, because it's all good to go onto a TV program and to say all of this stuff and to do all these crazy things and to sell some candles. But when an investor gives you £250,000 of money, they want it back. And they want not just the investment back, they want a lot more back. And they're depending on you to do all the things that you said you were going to do in your CV, your business plan, and all of your pitching. And that's when that realization hit me. But I won the Apprentice and started my business, Climb Online, on the 5th of January. So 2 days ago, we turned 6. It was our 6th birthday, which is amazing. We've passed that threshold of all the startups that fail, that 90% mark that fail in their first 5 years or whatever it is. And people come up to me in the street. This is the funniest thing about this. I don't know why people say this, but they come up to the street and say, "Well, you're only successful because you won the Apprentice." And I love that, because I'll be in Sainsbury's doing my shopping and people say, "Well, you're only successful because you have Lord Sugar. You're only successful because you won the Apprentice. You're only successful because you went on the TV." Like I say to them quite nicely to their face, "Listen, the Apprentice is open to everyone. You can go and try out and be as successful." For me, first of all, I had to take the opportunity, but I just wanted to quickly touch on behind the scenes. There is some negatives to winning the Apprentice that I don't really talk about to many people, but I wanted to share it with you because it demonstrates the keys that I'm going to go into in the next slide about if you have the fundamentals of your business right and you're working with the right mentors, coaches, and groups, you will be successful. So when I opened my business on the first day, we had 7,500 leads. So I had a landing page set up while I was on the Apprentice, obviously being the good digital marketing student I am. And when I got off the show and opened the office, I had 7,500 leads. Bit of a problem. I had 7,500 leads. The phone was ringing off the hook to the point we had to take it out of the wall. And I had no employees. Absolutely no employees. I had no IT equipment. I had no desks. I had no employees, no website, and 7,000 leads. So people are starting to leave the company bad reviews saying, "This guy's meant to be the Apprentice winner and this great guy. I've not heard back from him." I mean, how I could call back 7,000 people, I don't know. When I went into the Apprentice house, I had a whopping 93 followers on Twitter. I was very popular. I came out, I had 98,000. So my social media went through the roof, LinkedIn requests up to my eyeballs. I had 150,000 followers on all my social media platforms, leads coming in. It was just absolute mayhem. And then the next thing happened. No one in my industry would work with me. I wasn't invited to industry events. I couldn't get support from industry suppliers. They all hated me. They absolutely hated me. Our biggest conference in the SEO industry is called Brighton SEO. It's the biggest. 5,000 people go. You get all your tools and supply chain all organized at that event. I went to that event to do a talk and I was booed onto the stage. I mean, I've been booed off a stage, but I've never been booed onto one before. It was a very different experience. But what I quickly learned, it's like the people that come up into the street and tell me I'm only successful because I have Lord Sugar, or I'm only good because of The Apprentice and I got booed onto my industry stages. When you find success, when you do something worth shouting about, you attract a lot of haters, generally from your own industry. And what I've learned is they're so jealous. They're so scared that you're taking their customers. They're so scared that you're taking their reputation. And when people insult you like they have to me, or your business or your reputation, or say negative things about you, or leave you negative reviews, it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves and the scarcity that's in their own world and mindset, because you're showing them, when you're successful, you demonstrate to others what they should be doing for themselves. But as I said, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be successful. I get my business running. My first month, I made a £2,000 loss, not going so well. And then the second month, I make a £12,000 turnover, break-even month, and I got sued. I got sued by the biggest company in my sector. Their turnover was about 630 million. My turnover was 12,000. And they sued us for trademark infringement on our name and on our products, saying that they were too similar to their products. I mean, everyone's SEO product is similar. Let's be completely honest about it, or called something similar. But my name was making so much noise, so they sued me. And it was getting really serious, and it looked like it was going to collapse the business in the first 3 months of trading. And I'll never forget this. I was really scared, and I only use Lord Sugar when I absolutely need him. I see him more as like a hero or a mentor, not someone I go to for, like, you know, where's the coffee machine, mate? And I rang him when it looked like it was going to collapse the business. And I said to Lord Sugar, listen, we're getting sued by the biggest company in our sector. What am I going to do to get around this? And he said, here's what you do. So I got my pen and paper. I always have a pen and paper. And he said, ring up the switchboard and tell them this. So I said, ring up the switchboard. And he said, say, hi there. It's Mark Wright from Climb Online and you're suing us. Yep, Mark Wright, it's Climb Online, you're suing us. Yep, got it. Now say, fuck off. And I was like, what? And I stopped taking notes at that point. He said, in business, particularly when you're a new business, when you're a startup business and you're in that entry phase, he said, if you start making a really good noise in your industry, you will either get an offer to be bought or you will get sued out of existence. He said, why do you think there's no drinks in the fridge with Coca-Cola? Because when big players, existing players, see new competition coming up into their marketplace, they take them out of existence. That's how you keep dominance in your market. And I've never thought about it like that. But if you do, think about any industry, any one specific industry, there's 1 to 2 big players in it. They're the ones that cause the problems. And he said this, he said, in business, you get one reputation, one chance to make a reputation. And if you get a reputation for somebody that can be messed with as something as small as this, you're not going to last very long. Our job as business owners is to be tough. You can be a nice guy outside of work, nice person outside of work or your industry, whatever it is, but you need to be a reputation for being resilient, being tough and being strong, and no one messes with us or our company. It was one of my first and best lessons that I've ever had in business. So just quickly to touch on my business in its first year, as Kevin said in my introduction, Climb Online turned over 1.7 million in its first year. We're the first and only Apprentice winner to turn over more than $1 million in its first year, the first and only Apprentice winner to make a profit in its first year. We've disrupted the digital marketing sector, and I'll go into that in some more detail. And we've won I could do a whole presentation on awards and crap like that, but that's not important. What important is how we got to this place. I'm only telling you these stats to show you how I got there. What's really fascinating about why I love being a digital marketer and why I love being in the job I do is because every day I get to meet with 3 or 4 different business owners, different business people, and understand different industries, different sectors, and how their businesses work. And what that's done over the past 10 years that I've done this job is allow me to see patterns in businesses and business people particularly that create success. Success leaves clues. It's really easy to be successful in business, by the way. It's really easy. There's a recipe to this. It's like baking a cake. If you want to bake a cake, you need the recipe. You get the recipe, you follow it, you get the results. Business is the same as baking a cake. If you have the recipe, all your job is to do every day is to follow it. And I'm going to take you through the recipe now. Right, so here's the mistakes that I see too many business owners making and why I think it's a failure. If your business is still small after too many years, it's because you're making one of these mistakes. Business owners with small mindsets, thinking small, acting small, and they stay small. Our job is to think bigger and operate bigger. So the key big mistakes I make, feel free to take screenshots of my presentation. Also, I'll make this slideshow available after the presentation today. Biggest business mistakes. Well, first one is operating too lean, trying to do it all on too little. If you're going to apply so much pressure on yourself by starting up a business or operating a business with absolutely no capital in it, your job is going to be tough. You're going to employ poor people, you're going to have a poor product, and you're going to be stressed constantly. You need the right amount of capital in your business to give you the ability to make it successful. This is the one that burrs me up, focusing on turnover, not margin and profits. We've all entered in those awards, and I've even just done it in my previous slide and told you how great my turnover is. What someone should have yelled out is stop talking bollocks. Focusing on turnover is a huge mistake we all make because we want to win awards. It's the vanity element of my business. I turn over, I have this much sales, I have this much turnover. But in reality, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. It's so important to focus on your margin, how much when you get a sale in, how much your gross margin is, and what that filters through to the bottom line. Always focus on profit. Always target your sales teams, your marketing teams, or anyone that works for you on margin, not turnover. You should not be paying commission to your sales team on turnover. It should always be on a margin level or a profit level. And the biggest mistake I personally made when I started my first business was not employing the right staff, being cheap. If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. My mum told me that very early on when she was operating her salon, and I understood it by making this mistake. I wanted to save my investment when I started my business, and to do so, I started getting people on 16, 17, 18,000 pound salaries. If someone's coming in the door, they're 29, 30, 35 years old, they want 18,000 pounds salary. What does it tell us about that person? They're rubbish, okay? A person demanding a bigger salary is obviously going to be a better type of person. And our job is to really focus on getting the right people. The leaders in business, biggest mistake they make is doing too much, trying to do everything themselves, and entrepreneurs are the most guilty of this, trying to do absolutely every end of the process themselves and saying, I can do this better than anyone else, I'll do it all myself, and their business never grows. The right way to go about it is seeing yourself as an expert recruiter and seeing your main role as a business owner as being a salesperson, a marketeer, and a recruiter. We are all headhunters, and our game is to go and find the best people to work in our business and shine brighter and do it better than we could have ever done it. And employing the right staff and finding the right people is the reason I've made the money that I've made, because I learned this lesson really early on. And now I have a great team in my business that's right now, while I'm speaking to you, doing something that I'm enjoying, they're out making me money. And that's when you truly become successful. Again, failure to lead and delegate. This one is just constant with anyone I mentor, groups that I speak to, people still raising their own invoices in their business, balancing their own accounts, doing their own payroll, relying on, doing all their own analytics, doing all of this stuff. And they're so busy. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm a successful business person. I'm so busy, but they're so busy doing low end, low budget, poor feeding tasks that are keeping them flat out instead of, we all hear that phrase, working on the business instead of working in the business. I don't think anyone actually understands what that means personally. They just say it because it sounds good, but that's a perfect example. Doing things that keep you busy, but actually don't grow your business. And the best way to overcome this is to write a list at the start and the end of each day of high-end tasks that are actually going to grow you as an entrepreneur in your business, then reviewing it at the end of the day and writing down the tasks that you actually completed and mapping them against your goals and thinking, did this actually help me grow my business, grow my vision, expand as an entrepreneur? No sales division. Again, I'm sick of hearing this from small business people. My industry doesn't need salespeople. I've never met a business. I've been doing this a very long time. I've never met a business that doesn't need a salesperson or a sales division or an arm of sales. And no marketing budget. Of course, I'm going to say no marketing budget. But the average company should be spending 11% of its turnover on marketing. It still baffles me when I go into companies and they're spending like either 0 or 5% or 6%, and they say, you know, things are really tough. Well, of course they're tough. If no one knows who you are, how are you going to get any business? If no one's heard of you, no one can work with you. Being a key person of influence, being known, is our job as business people. My job, I see it as making as much noise as possible, constantly going on talks like now 70 people this morning now know who I am that maybe didn't know about me at 8 o'clock this morning. That's 70 potential leads of people I'm speaking to right now. Can I write a book? Have you got a podcast? Do you speak on stage and webinars? When was the last time you wrote a blog and put it onto LinkedIn about 10 tips to whatever it is that your industry does? We need to get known. The more people who know you can buy from you. My friends, Starbucks does not make the best coffee. McDonald's does not make the best hamburger, but they're the most well-known coffee and hamburger shops. Everyone on this call can make a better coffee than Starbucks, but you're not making as much money as Starbucks because they've done a better job at being known for making coffee. And our job in our industry is be the most well-known. Now, I sit here and tell you I probably am one or the second most well-known person in the UK for digital marketing because I'm relentless about being known, and that's what your job is as well. And I don't suffer from this last point, lack of self-belief. The key to high performance is value in oneself. I'm going to say that again. The key to high performance is value in yourself. The amount of successful entrepreneurs that I've met who feel like they're successful by accident, that feel guilty for making money, that feel guilty for having success, that feel like it was an accident, that they don't deserve their success, is crazy. It's like 90% of people. Let me be the first to tell you, I hope that you do deserve your success, that your ability to believe in yourself and your business is the best way of selling more. The more you believe in yourself and your business and your product, and the more you feel you earned it and deserved it, the more you will sell. So think about that. Biggest money mistakes. Turnover's too high, profits are low. Again, we've spoken about that. Focus on the margin, focus on the margin. 2, profits are healthy, but too scared to spend. This one is, I'd say, that affects the small businesses the most, is your first 1 or 2 million quid is what's called geometric growth. You start at 0, you've got nothing to lose, so you sell, you make risks, you do it yourself, you do great work, you get good people, and you grow. Then you make a couple of million quid, and you start to second guess yourself. You say, oh crap, what if that was an accident, how I got to that too? Okay, what we'll be really careful now, we won't spend too much, we won't get that person in, we won't get that office, we won't do this. And you start to conserve because you want to protect what you've made. Whatever you did to get that first geometric growth, that first 1 million, that first 2 million, even if it's the first 100,000, look at what it was that made that run successful. Because a lot of businesses go bang and then they stop because they're scared of losing what they've built. Being scared and trying to conserve what you've built is the fastest way to lose what you've built. Keep focusing on growth, keep pushing the growth. And what is your P&L telling you? We should all be reviewing an internal P&L about our business, no matter the size. If you're a one-man army, a bedroom DJ, as I like to call them, right up to 150 people in your organization, you should be reviewing a P&L on your company every single week, once a week. Once a month if you're lazy and you don't want to be that rich. I prefer once a week. And you should know how much money is cash at the bank every day. So at 11 o'clock at every morning, I know the cash in the bank for all my companies, and I have a P&L at 11 o'clock every Monday for every single one of my companies. because knowing the numbers will help drive your decision making. How you can do accounts at Companies House once a year and understand your business is nonsense. You need to understand your numbers every day, but particularly a P&L basis every single week. So it comes back to having management accounts. Management accounts are essential, and you should be working either with an outsource like FD Center or an outsourced accounting practice, or have someone in-house. I have 2 accountants in-house and 1 that I outsource to. So I have 3 accountants constantly giving me information about how to take my business forward. Right, show me a good business, I'll show you a good leader. Show me a bad business, I'll show you a bad leader. 99 times out of 100, when a business is failing, it's something to do with the owner or the management of that company. It's like a football team. You've seen the same 11 players, they replace the manager on a Saturday and the team wins 3-0 and they've just lost for 6 months in a row. And you're like, how is changing that one person change the result of the game? A lot. It's so important in business that the leader is focused, the leader is motivational, and the leader knows where they're going. They've demonstrated to the employees what the vision of the company is, what the goals of the company are, and what everyone's role in that vision is. And it's the communication and the motivation of the leader that drives the business. And again, we've spoken about this briefly, but I can't speak about it enough. If you've got stagnated growth, as a small business owner, you're probably doing too much. Map out what you're doing each day and ask yourself if you can outsource it. If you want to ever sell your business, if you ever want investments of your business, and I invest in a lot of businesses, and I've actually been looking at buying someone that Kevin mentors in through one of his groups that I met on one of these talks. They're looking to sell their business. I'm looking to buy it. And Kevin's worked with them and done an amazing job on making them redundant in their own business. Because if you ever want to sell your business, the first thing an investor is going to want to know is, if we take you out of the business, what happens to your P&L? What happens to your business? Our job as entrepreneurs, as business owners, is to make ourselves redundant in the day-to-day. Because if we're doing too much, our actual value of our business is 0. It's just you. If you can create turnover, create margin, create profits, create brand image, by doing very little except getting out there, doing talks, looking at your marketing, looking at your sales, meeting your management, you now have a business worth something. If you're doing too much, you're killing your business. You're killing its value. Take yourself back and grow it with good people. And business versus brand. I want to be a brand. So it's little things that I do. Like, for example, my products have names: Paid Climber, Organic Climber, Social Climber. So our social media product is called Social Climber. My paid PPC product is called Paid Climber. Is there a way that you can create a brand around your product so people start referring? We all call the vacuum a Hoover. Think about it in that level. I'm going to go get a Starbucks. Doesn't mean I'm going to Starbucks. I'm just going to get a coffee. So start thinking about how you can get referred to in your industry as the brand name, as the brand play. I'm going to go get a Chuck's cloth. We say that in Australia. I don't know if that's a thing here, a Chuck's cloth, but it's the Hoover example I think you guys use here. And brand your products and services. Okay, so business mistakes in sales. As I said, every single business needs a sales force or a salesperson, a sales army. Don't rely on yourself as a business owner to be the only salesperson. In your business, you will be the best salesperson, but you need other people. If you get, God forbid, hit by the number 6 bus and are in hospital for 3 months, your business still needs to grow. Your staff still need to be paid. We constantly got to be thinking about, if I didn't turn up tomorrow, would we still grow? Would we still sell? And most businesses wouldn't, and we need more salespeople. And this £1 marketing ROI. When you market, you must be prepared to make nothing back. I'll say that again. When you market, you must be prepared to make nothing back. If you're going into marketing with an expectation of spending £1 and getting £1, or spending £1 and getting 5 back, you're already setting yourself up to failure. When McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and all these people, Apple, go out to the marketplace, their theory is this: the big customers I work with, if one more person sees me that reminds me to buy my product, it's been successful. If people don't know about you, they can't buy from you. If people don't know about you, they can't refer you. My biggest source of sales is referral. like most businesses. But the more customers I bring in through marketing, the more referrals I get. Stop thinking about return and start thinking about showing people, brand exercising, about going out there and being prepared to lose money for a bit, because the big companies I work with talk about how many eyeballs see this, not how many sales we get. Don't cut spend. When you have a marketing budget, and everyone should have a marketing budget, I recommend 11% of your turnover. When you find a channel really isn't working for you, instead of saving that money back into your P&L, make sure you reinvest it in a new channel. Try something new. If Google Ads doesn't work for you, try LinkedIn. If LinkedIn doesn't work, try YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, whatever it might be. Never hold yourself accountable to a set marketing budget and make sure you spend all of it, because your business will thank you for it. Your brand recognition will thank you for it. And know your value. What do I mean by know your value? Charge more than you're charging for your products. The best advice I ever got from Lord Sugar was, if you want to get rich in business, you find big customers and you charge them large amounts. I laughed it off at the time. 6 years later, I can tell you this, everyone on this call, if you want to be rich, find big customers and charge them large amounts. If you're going to work yourself into an early grave by working till 11:30 each night, working on £150 deals, your business will never make the money it needs, and you will never get to where you want in your personal goals. You need to value your time, value your product, and increase what you charge. Customers respect people who charge what they're worth. That's what they say about Lamborghini ads. They don't put them on TV because the people who can afford Lamborghinis aren't watching TV. We are all Lamborghinis on this call, and we need to start looking at our products and respecting our products more. Charge more, make more, because that means if you work on less customers, you will give them a better service, they will get better results, you will make more money. Having a lot of customers is only good if you've got a B2C product. If you're a B2B business, you want less customers paying you more, and you want to be doing better work. Biggest business mistakes, again, I always say, if you're going to think, we're all thinking, we might as well think big. Meditate on what you really want out of your business and your life, and challenge yourself to really think big. Challenge yourself constantly on what your turnover, profits, and staff numbers, office size, whatever it might be, take that number up and push yourself to be big constantly. Because if we're going to be here, I always say, if I'm going to go bankrupt, I'm going to take a lot with me, because I'm going to go big. Because what I've learned from doing my property businesses, what I've learned from all my businesses, doing a deal for £1 million is the same as doing a deal for 50 million quid. The paperwork is, there's no extra pages on the paperwork. There's no extra time in the paperwork. There's no extra meetings. The numbers just change. And if you go bankrupt from 500 grand, the proceedings are the same as going bankrupt for 50 million. But actually you're safer in deals going bigger. The bigger you go, the safer it is, the easier it is, and you're going to be bigger just from thinking bigger. But we hold this conservative mindset of, if we only do 100 grand, it's safer. You can still go bad from 100 grand. You might as well go bad from, 3-4 million quid. Perception is reality. Mindset. Join groups like this. I can't tell you how important having a mentor, having a group to share things with is. If you don't, I think I said at the start of this presentation that joining this group, the peer networks, is free. That's crazy. It shouldn't be free. They should be charging you, because then you'd actually appreciate the stuff they're going to teach you. If you don't all sign up to this network at the end of the day, you're mental. I mean, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. You don't deserve success, because if someone's offering you an opportunity like this to better yourself, to better your knowledge, to have a surrounding of successful people to teach you things, and you don't take it, well, if you can't help yourself, no one can help you. I do this thing called smelling the leather. I think that the two biggest things I've done is being addicted to learning more constantly, joining groups like this, having a mentor like Lord Sugar, like Grant Cardone, listening to audiobooks. Ever since I've listened to audiobooks, they say if you want to earn more, you've got to learn more. Each week I try to listen to one audiobook, if it's about marketing, business, success, mindset, whatever it might be. I've tripled my income every year since I've listened to audiobooks. The other thing I do is called smell the leather, which is I start to look at when I was working in a call center in Hammersmith and I had really bad days, I'd call people, they'd tell me to F off, go die, kill myself, all of this stuff. It was a terrible job. And there was a Lamborghini dealership near the call center. And at lunchtime, I used to go and eat my lunch and look at the Lamborghini dealership and people turning up for their appointments, going in, shaking the guy's hand, sitting in the car. And I used to imagine what it would be like going for my appointment at the Lamborghini dealership, how they would say my name, what coffee I would have, how the appointment would go. And I convinced myself that I would have a Lamborghini one day. When I got on to The Apprentice, I used to think about what it would be like walking out when they said, here's the winner of The Apprentice, and how that would be. And I go and look round houses that I can't afford. I get the realtor to show me through. I smell the leather. I smell the house. I sit in Rolls Royces. And I do this to remind myself of what's possible. It's all about what's possible. That's the same with joining groups and mentors. You want people that are just out of your reach and they're telling you things that set that light bulb off and remind you why you started. I'm going to go quickly through the lessons that I've got from working with the mentors that I've got. Number one is get a mentor. I don't know any successful person that doesn't have a mentor. One of my mentors, when I first sat down with him, he attributed all of his success to his mentor, and they've all done that. So can't be any secret in that. Listening to audiobooks, studying, being a student constantly. The day you wake up and say you know it all is the day that you start going backwards. We can always continue to learn, and that hunger for learning and being the best is essential. 90% of success in business is about showing up, continually coming in, no matter what the day provided you yesterday. You lost half your customers, you did get sued, your best employee quit, or you've had record sales, you've signed up more. No matter what happens, it's never a good day or a bad day. It's just a day in business. Turn up the next day like you did on your first day and keep showing up until you've made it, because we're all continuous students of business. Be diligent with your time. Diligence with time is essential. And this links all the way back to what we're saying about doing too much in your business. Be critical about how you're spending your time, what meetings you're in, how long you're in the meetings for, how long you're spending on lunch, what time you're starting, what time you're finishing. Be ruthless with your own time. I'm a nightmare for anyone who calls me on the phone. I probably won't answer if you call my phone, or if a meeting, I'll prefer to stand or have it in my office or out where I can kind of control it a lot quicker, and keep the meeting small. Don't have casts of thousands in a meeting with you, 10, 15, 20 people, all adding their 2 bobs worth in. That's when nothing gets done. Keep things short. No meeting should last more than 45 minutes, and it should be with a small group of people where people can take away actions from that. Again, when I started with Lord Sugar, first or second day, he sent me an email saying, in an email to him, I'm allowed 3 bullet points and a yes and a no. If I can't describe my theory in 3 bullet points, it means I don't understand the theory enough to be asking for advice on it. So I can reply to an email in 3 ways, with yes, no, or noted, and 3 additional bullet points. And that is a really useful thing, because emails seem to run business people's days. And a lot of it is just being CC'd into BS that's holding you back from, again, working on your business. Birds of a feather flock together. Start hanging around with the right people. Join this group. It's free. Birds of a feather flock together. If you hang around with losers, you'll end up a loser. If you hang around with people with tattoos, you'll get a tattoo. You start hanging around with me and Kevin, you get rich. So you decide what happens at the end of that. Have laser focus, have goals, write those goals down, both personally and for your business. Look at those goals weekly and know where you and your business are going, and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now we've got just a couple of minutes for questions. I know I was quick to the sword today. So thank you again for having me along, Kevin, and the whole group. I really appreciate it. And I hope that I can answer some of your questions now very quickly.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you, Mark. That's fantastic. So we'll see how we can do this. Obviously, there's a lot of people and not a lot of time for questions. But if anybody wants to put their hand up, if they've got a burning question, I will see if I can spot them. Maybe Caroline can help me as well. Anybody got a question?
There's a lot of people on here. It's excellent.
Yeah, I can't see anybody raising.
There's Dr. Lizzie.
Oh, Lizzie. Okay. Yeah. Lizzie.
Hi, Mark. Fantastic to see you again. Now,
Thanks, Lizzie.
I think just one question. Learnt so much. One question. Now, you woke up one day with a mission to make billions of money. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I come from the other way, whereas I want to make. I have a passion to help as many people as I can.
Yes.
Now, that is a real diversity, because helping other people sometimes doesn't come with making the money because you want to help them. So how do you kind of get that balance?
Someone once told me, if you make 1 billion friends or you help 1 billion people, you'll make $1 billion. And it's so true. I speak about money a lot because, okay, that's what I'm known for. My teaching is about business, and it's about success in business. And that normally comes hand in hand with money. But more than business, I speak about success, and success does not mean money. Success means doing something every day that you're passionate about doing. And if that's just helping people and you've got enough to live and survive, that's okay by me. Genuinely, what I've found is the more people you help, the more money you make bipartisan. Honestly, Lizzie, if you just keep helping people, you will find that the money will take care of itself. And when I made the mistake early on in my career of just focusing on money and going into businesses and industries I didn't understand and know about, and I failed at every one of them. When I found digital marketing, I found I was working from a place of enjoyment and knowledge. I was passionate about what I was doing, and that's when I made all my money. So, we often stand in the bar as guys and talk about, oh, this guy's making a fortune over there. And you see someone just run off and start a business in that industry without knowing anything about it, and it fails. We all need to start at what we know we're good at and what we enjoy and what we can help people at. And the money will take care of itself, honestly.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question?
I've had a
I
question.
saw Christopher Convert had his hand raised. I saw.
Chris, where are you?
Hi, I'm
Christoph.
Convert Solutions.
Hey, mate.
My name is Christoph Convert. What kind of budget would you plan for a yearly marketing campaign?
Well, it really depends on so many factors: the location of the campaign, the type of product it is, what channel you're going to be marketing it on. So that's where it comes back to a percentage of the business's turnover, holding yourself accountable to spending that money. Because again, it's like if at the start of the coronavirus nonsense, people started furloughing their sales team and saying that's that salary saved. If I furlough this salesperson, that's a 30 grand salary saved. Without stopping and thinking, if that person's on furlough, what is the money that they would bring in? We need to really focus and push ourselves not to think about what's going out, but what will come in. And it's the same with marketing. If you do 11 to 15% of your turnover, trying different channels, figure out which one's performing the best and start maximizing that channel and hold yourself to that percentage, you will see over the course of 12 months, the performance in ROI for the business will be through the roof, particularly in brand recognition. Again, coming back to my presentation, the more people who know about you, the easier it makes your sales force's job, conversions through your website. A reason a lot of marketing campaigns fail is people just don't know who the business is and they don't trust it. They're not sure if it's a scam, it's a new business, it's reliable, whatever it is. Once you get well known, everything else takes care of itself. So it's just really pushing yourself, Christopher, to make sure you're spending the right amount.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think we've got time for maybe one more question if anybody wants to raise their hand quickly. Okay, Paul Saunders, I saw you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Mark. Great talk. Really appreciate your time on that. So we produce IoT solutions, and we have a very worn out phrase in our business. The great thing about IoT is it can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
The bad thing about IoT is it can be applied to anything. So yeah. I'm really interested to know about your viewpoint on generic sort of wide offering and marketing approach versus a very laser sighted vertical offering targeting a very specific niche.
Yeah, well, we speak about this a lot for your sector. I know one guy really particular who's made a bloody fortune in your industry. And what he did was really clever. He had an offering that was all things to all men, as it were, and his business was just spinning its wheels, going absolutely nowhere. So he got us in, he changed the name, the branding, all that stuff, and created that laser focus. He looked on what areas by targeting which businesses and which products make him the most money. And he just binned the rest. He just binned off the rest, refined his offering to a more specific type of target audience, changed the name of the company, and just went after the biggest business that makes him the most money. He then sold it to HP. And did very well. If you're in an industry or you're in a business that has a very wide offering, it's a danger to just selling and feeling really busy with it. Then you end up realizing you've done a year of really poor trade, but you're surprised because you see the till going off all of the time. Mm-hmm. Look at what makes you the most money, which customers make you the most money, and refine your offer and your target just to that sector. Yeah. And move everything else. And if the phone rings and they want that product, that whatever, the 50 quid one, I'm making this up, by the way, you don't do it anymore. You, as much as it's going to pay you to turn that business away, you now are the specialist at big order, Microsoft 365s, whatever. And it's just looking back and stripping away and not saying that's how it's done. In our industry, it's a wide offering, because it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's a very confident sort of, I don't know, you need to be very confident in that sector, because we have big customers, but they've been, to call them glacially slow is an understatement with some of those big customers.
So it comes back to changing your business plan now, but keep doing what you're doing, but know in a year's time, you're not going to take the fodder. So get a salesperson in, get a sales army in, chasing the slow burner ones that take 6 months to convert, because you know they take 6 months. Only prospect those because they take longer. Get those in, and then in 12 months' time, you'll have a pipeline full of the right type of business. Mm-hmm. But if you don't start now, you're going to continually to have the customers that are either break even, loss making, or small profits, and you're going to keep treading water. It's really scary when you put your minimums up, or you change your product, or you really refine your target audience to bigger customers. It's normally the owner who lets the side down after a couple of months of seeing slower sales or lower conversions through the sales. They then just say, oh, just go back to how it was. But you must hold your bottle and target the right types of business, because you'll be going nowhere really quickly otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thank you very much, Mark. That's fantastic. And can we please do a Zoom round of applause for Mark? And thank you very much for coming and joining us for that. Thank you. Superb. So very much appreciate that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next stage of the agenda, and Caroline is now going to organize some breakout sessions, and the goal of this breakout session is the next stage of the M&M challenge. So it's not quite as simple as you might have thought at the beginning of just simply your estimate of what it is, and you will see why we're doing this and what the relevance of this is, I'm sure, as we go through it. But your goal in this 5-minute breakout is to discuss amongst yourself. There'll be 6 or maybe 7 people in each breakout, and we'd like you to come to your best estimate as a group this time as to how many M&Ms you think are in the jar. So it's the same jar. We haven't changed any of the measurements or anything like that. Don't worry, it's exactly the same. But what we want you to do is to come to a group consensus now. So you'll have 5 minutes. You'll need to agree a team name as well, so that and a team spokesperson, so that one person of the group, when we come back after the breakouts, can message to say what you think your group estimate is with your group name, so that we're able to say who has got the closest and things like that. So, Caroline, are you ready to let us go for the breakouts?
Yeah, I'm ready, and hopefully the chat will work now to so you can message Les.
Brilliant.
I'll open it now.
Thank you. Maybe I'll
welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, welcome back. Good. So let's just see. Is that better without the black rectangles?
Yep, that's brilliant.
Okay, right. So if we could nice and quickly now message Les, you should be able to find Les now in the chat, and if the person you elected as your spokesperson could message in with the group name and the number of M&Ms that you think are in the jar that you've come to an agreement with as a group, that would be great, please. And Les, if you could tell me when you've got a good number of those and you think they've stopped coming in.
Should see ours in there now. Les,
I've put ours in,
mine
team.
and Anya's.
Yeah, are they coming in, Les?
Yeah, I've done ours as well.
Yeah, they're coming in.
Okay, so let me know.
One group called.
Yeah, don't read out any answers yet. But
No, one group has put a ridiculous number in.
was that a mistake then? Which group is that? Give them a chance to change it if it's really ridiculous.
The Dream Team.
They were obviously thinking that they were spot on, unfortunately. But
okay,
Dream Team dreaming.
Have they stopped coming in, Les?
No, they're still coming.
Okay, nice and quick, please, everybody, if you could.
The win is I sent ours in, but I don't know if somebody else did as well. So
It had a decimal point in it, which I think was a mistake.
All right.
I've got the winners. Thank you. Was that you, Rose? I've sent it.
no, I think Lizzie sent it. I've sent it also to Les. So I think we've sent it twice. So ignore.
Okay.
Hopefully they're the same figure. We've got it the same.
All right.
You're trying to increase your chances of winning.
All right. So
Just add a quickie, Les, I've just forwarded one that came to me.
Okay.
Are we just about there?
There's one, the smart R's need to put a value in.
Okay, you got 10 seconds, smart ass.
Luckily, it's spelled differently to what I say.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. So we close that one. And then there is, this is where the mayhem starts, but there is the final one. Now that you've all had the chance of discussing it as a group, you may not have agreed with the group answer that came out, but you may have wanted to revise the original individual estimate that you had. So again, if you could just message Les very quickly, you don't need to put your name in or anything because it will come up. Just put the number in if that you would like as your individual estimate. So it could be that you keep it the same, could be that you've revised it, but please put the number in, whatever you want to do. So I'll just give you a few seconds to do that. And don't feel that it has to be the same as the group answer, because you may not have agreed with what your group came with. So I'm going to let those carry on. You by all means carry on doing those as we move on to the next part of the agenda now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen so that I can reshare it with the video optimizer. I'm going to show a short video clip now about peer networking. So it's literally 3 minutes, and it will just give you a little bit of an idea as to some of the benefits of peer networking.
Precious time and money, struggling to find those answers from elsewhere. Worse still, we can end up feeling isolated and unsure of whose advice we can trust. However disciplined you are, it's easy to be distracted from your real priorities by a myriad of issues. Now, imagine with your next challenge or idea, you have 5 other business owners who you trust and they're happy to use.
All right, there we are. We're going to stop that. Forget that. So that was a lovely little animated video around the benefits of peer networking. Essentially, you saw the eggs there talking about collaborating together, solving challenges together, moving up the steps. But what we'll do is we'll send that link to you separately then at another time, so that you can see that separately. A significant part of the peer networks, so just a little bit now around peer networks and some of the benefits. A significant part of peer networks is around making the right decisions, and Mark was talking about learning from mentors and working together, make the right decisions. And one of the things that we don't always realize is that all of us are affected in our decision making by subconscious biases. We've all got them, and they make us vulnerable to misinformation. So, and you've only got to look at the effects of, frankly, what's going on in the States, the way that Trump tries to seed the bias in people's minds, to see that the way that can change people's thinkings. And if you think for a minute, if you imagine that our business is a little bit like our home, and we've got our south-facing window that is our view on the world. We're looking out on that, and we might, over time, we might polish the glass, make sure it's really clear. We might make sure that our vision is 20/20, put on our spectacles, and we might even get some powerful binoculars to help us to see further into the distance, and maybe over time we can even trim those trees at the end so that we can see right the way through to the horizon. Maybe we hire some experts in our field, and perhaps even a consultant to improve our decisions and our view, and essentially you see as far as the horizon. But it's still only seeing in one direction. And if we really want to make better decisions, we need to be able to look out of all of the windows of our house. And even if the vision and the view out of those windows is partially obscured, we're still getting a different perspective on what we're doing. And it's not about having a load of experts that can help narrow down that view, but it's about having really credible people together with us that can challenge our perceptions. They've got different perspectives of things, and they can challenge some of those subconscious biases that we've got and help us to see things differently. So that is one of the key powers of peer-to-peer networking. So what can you expect from the program that Mark was talking about earlier on with the peer network? So first of all, it's a national peer-to-peer networking program. So it's not just around this part of the country. It's available around the whole of the UK, and it's a program for owner managers essentially that want to grow and develop their businesses, and it's funded by central government. It's delivered locally in the different regions, and we're responsible for delivering some of the support within Worcestershire and within the marches. And we're looking to put together diverse cohorts of individuals with the aim of working collaboratively together. And we're going to do that through interactive learning. It's something that we've done for a long time now, actually, with these peer networks, and we can really talk about the power of those. And certainly, absolutely hand on heart, I know that it's one of the best things that you can do as a business owner, and that we can all do as a business owner, is to benefit from the peer networking. And the aim is that we'll be able to discuss challenges. Everybody will bring challenges, and we'll be able to then work on those challenges together, get valuable feedback and practical solutions then to overcome those challenges. Essentially, the program will consist of 18 hours of fully funded group work, and then some additional 3.5 hours of one-to-one support that goes in between those group sessions. And it will run between essentially now and the end of March. So you've heard some of the benefits. These are three real key benefits that you will get as well out of that. So it's overcoming these business challenges, but building a trusted network of connections, which we hope will continue beyond the end of March. You know, it's not something that just goes to the end of March. And the aim, of course, is to improve your long-term business, but also personal performance. You know, Mark was talking about, if you want a better business, get a better leader, and investing in ourselves, and it's part of that as well. So each of the members will bring different perspectives, and if you like, they're acting a little bit like non-executive directors on a board without a hidden agenda. So it's not a room full of people that are trying to sell you anything. That's not what it's about. They don't have their hidden agendas, but they will challenge you. They will help you to make decisions better and faster than you might have done without them. But of course, they'll also help to inspire us. You know, that's the idea. We get inspiration from other people to be better individuals, but also to build a better business. And they'll also help to keep us accountable, and to do the things that we say that we're going to do. And obviously, we want them to be fun along the way. But you don't need to take my word from it. I've invited Matt to come along. Matt Busby runs the name label company, and he's been on a peer network program with us, very similar to what we're doing here. We started it at the beginning of March and finished it in early autumn. And Matt, maybe you'd just like to say a few words of your experiences of peer networking with BizSmart under the Elevate program.
Sure, thanks, Kevin, and morning, everyone. I was fortunate to participate in the last group of the peer-to-peer networking, and it was delivered by BizSmart through the Elevate program and Worcestershire County Council, and I was really grateful to be included on that program. And I found the peer-to-peer learning so valuable, and I'm a huge advocate of it. I think perhaps the most significant thing for me is that it gave me some time every month to get off the coalface and start working on the really important things. I mean, too often we can get sort of wrapped up in the day-to-day hustle and bustle, you know, perhaps firefighting, and then the sort of strategic things and some of the real important things can be neglected. So this gave me the time to get away and work on the important things. The sessions were brilliantly facilitated by the BizSmart team, who, you know, they're a highly experienced team. They bring valuable insights, and also they'll challenge you as well, which is a good thing. You know, they'll challenge your thoughts and your ideas and the way you've previously done things. So it certainly gets you out of your comfort zone. The sessions themselves usually start with a theme or a specific topic, and these could be anything from, and you know, some of the ones I've dealt with is been on cohesive teams, business rhythm, lead generation, cash conversion cycles. So, you know, really valuable topics. And then after that, you know, after the presentation, you'll get into your groups to discuss how those topics have affected your business and, you know, any issues around that. But that said, if you've got a particular issue or problem that you want to put to the group, you know, you can throw it out to the group for their input. And I think this is where the sort of biggest bang for the buck is, because it's such a diverse group. You know, you've got so many diverse people in there with different ideas, different amount of experience. You know, for example, you know, you might have somebody who's, you know, just started their business, somebody who's been going 10 years, you know, somebody with 5 employees or 65 employees, you know, 500,000 turnover, 5 million turnover. So, you know, there's such a wide range within the group. And then also what you have is different personalities, and those different personalities approach some of the issues differently. And, you know, for my example is, you know, I'm a very much keep everybody happy, keep everybody fired up, a bit of a rah-rah approach to every sort of problem and issue. And then others on the group might be, you know, different to that. So where I'll have the rah-rah approach to an issue, you know, somebody might say, well, I don't think that's right in this particular circumstance. I think you probably need the no Mr. Nice Guy approach on this particular issue. And I think that by doing that, what it does, it crystallizes, it'll either crystallize your thoughts in that your approach was the correct one, or you can adopt the suggestion from the other person in the group and perhaps try it a different way. But it's great having those different ideas and different approaches to issues and problems.
Brilliant.
Another thing that was important for me was the accountability. At the end of each session is you had key takeaways. And that was really important, because when you come back the next week and said, you know, somebody might say to you, you had takeaways of A, B, and C, how did you get on with it? And if you haven't done anything, you know, I, for one, would feel rather embarrassed. And, you know, that accountability keeps me focused. It keeps me, you know, driving forward. So that's importantly. And I'd just say that, you know, I think I've grown as a leader in my business, and my team is absolutely unrecognizable to what they were 6 to 9 months ago. And a lot of that is from the input, you know, that we've had from these peer-to-peer learning sessions. I would also say that it's not only what you take away, you know, it's what you put in as well. I've had a tremendous boost when I've been able to offer up suggestions and ideas that have been warmly received by the rest of the group. And, you know, I go away from these sessions so fired up. And, you know, like I said, I am an advocate of these. I know they work. They've worked in my particular experience. And, you know, so much so is that after, you know, the Elevate program, I and pretty much most of the other guys in our group signed up to carry on with the peer-to-peer learning through BizSmart and the Smart 90 planning. So, you know, it absolutely works. And, you know, I don't think you've got anything to lose by signing up and an awful lot to gain. You know, it's been great for me. So, yeah, I would recommend it.
Thank you, Matt. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Matt's been a really good member of the group. So yeah, really appreciate that, Matt. Thank you. So I'm conscious that we're going to overrun by 3 or 4 minutes. My apologies for that. But we'll wrap it up nice and quickly with the results now and how you can access the program. So those of you that wanted to know the answer is 846. That was the number of M&Ms in there. We had a range of the initial estimates from 120 to 2,848. So quite a big range initially. The closest top three, Rob Elliott was only 46 away, Matt Crump was 26 away, and Paul Saunders was only 4 away. So Paul is definitely the winner of the individual estimate. So well done to Paul, individual. Les, do you have the group answers for us as to the range and the closest group? You're on mute.
Oh no, sorry about that. Yeah, the groups, the range for the groups was from 1801 down to 2, but I think the 2 should have been 202 or something.
Okay.
And the nearest is the winners.
Brilliant.
Or the BGs, because they're about the same either way.
All right, good. And
the individuals, I'm still working on. Sorry.
Okay, so well, I'll let Les just carry on with that just for a minute. But what I'll do is I'll show you the principles because this is not just something that we've just pulled out of a hat. This exercise has been done with the INSEAD Business School, with the professor of decision analysis there, over a number of time with all of the intakes. And what he's found is that as the initial error for the initial estimate that you do is 950 overall, the absolute error. And this is based on research by Professor Anil Gaba. But when you do the group error comes right down to 343. So it's about a third. Well, it's 2/3 better, right? So it's a significant improvement by that simple consultation exercise that you went through. And you can see already actually that the range has reduced, although not as significantly as perhaps with all the previous data. But equally, just as importantly, if not more importantly, because it's not just about what you come together as a consensus, because coming together as a consensus and having that discussion then changes our individual estimate as well. And you can see here that the revised individual estimate then is also much closer, much tighter. So the range is reduced, and the data that you've done will be added into that, and we'll show that. But that, although it's a very simple exercise, it gives you some of the idea of how decision making can be improved by simple discussion with people. None of you are experts in M&Ms, or at least I don't think you are, or in quantifying how many M&Ms there are in a jar, but you've all managed to come to a closer conclusion people do over a bit of simple discussion and improving our own decisions. So those of you that would like on the program, we hope that all of you will express an interest in the program. There are some criteria. It's designed for business leaders who want to grow and develop their organizations for future success, as we've discussed. It's open to most owner managers, but you need to be in operation for at least a year. You need to have, and these are ideal, you need to have more than 2 employees and a turnover of at least 100,000, although there may be some allowance made with any impact on COVID recently, and an inspiration to improve. Those are absolute requirements, but ideally you'd have more than 5 employees and the potential to scale up and the ability or potential to export. But those are some of the criteria. Places are limited, both in terms of number and also time is short. There's a limited number of cohorts. There's a limited number of places on each cohort. 5 to 8 is the optimal number. And that again has come out of that research with Professor Anil Gaba, in that once you get beyond 8 people in a group, then the group dynamics become a bit complex and it's hard to get the benefit out of it. So 5 to 8 is the optimal. So the groups will be restricted to those sort of numbers. And also from a time point of view, everything has to be done by the end of March. So there will be 6 sessions running essentially bi-weekly, starting next Wednesday, with one-to-ones in between. So you need to be able to commit to either a Wednesday morning or a Wednesday afternoon, depending on whether you're in the Marches or in the Worcestershire area. If you would like to express an interest, now is a really good time. The public chat, I think, is, Caroline, can you open up the public chat, please, so that we can just do that. And if you'd like to type into the chat, essentially one of these, a bit like Mark was saying actually with his three bullet points, if you could essentially say, yep, I'm in, that'd be great. or potentially a possible, and that might depend on, you're not quite sure whether you're you can do the dates or whether you're eligible, and we can contact you and talk you through that. Or it might be that you're out of the area, and I think there's 1 or 2 of you that have joined us that are not either in Worcestershire or in the Marches. And don't worry, because this is a national programme, and we can signpost you to where you can find out with the groups within your area. So if you could put into the chat one of those 3 things ideally. You may also, some of you may have clients that you think might be interested, so ideally let us know about that. That would be fantastic if you do. You know, it's a great program maybe to recommend to some of your clients that you would like, and we'd be delighted to have a discussion with them. But yeah, as I say, you need to move quickly. So essentially what we'd like is that you commit now within and let us know now within the chat. We will then follow up with you with the aim that we can, that there's inevitably some paperwork with any funded program. Then there is inevitably some paperwork to be done, and we'd like to be able to get that done very, very early on. So ideally we'd like to be sending that to you and completing it by the end of this week, but certainly by early next week, so that we can start off on Wednesday. So that brings this session to a close. I'm just going to leave you with some words from Henry Ford. I'll let you read it to yourself, really. I don't need to read it out for you, but the power of coming together and working together. Les, did you have any
the results, Kevin?
Yes, go on then.
So the nearest to the actual value was Lizzie, followed by Claire, followed by Matt Crump.
Brilliant.
Those were the 3 nearest. The range for the individual estimates reduced from originally it was 120 to 2848, and it actually went to 170 to 2021. The mean estimate went up actually to 873. So there you go.
Brilliant. Good. So yeah, some illustration of the power of coming together, but as you saw from the data, how that really works. And so it's a simple example, but you do get a lot of benefit from that decision making from different perspectives from the group. So I'm going to close the meeting there. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. We will be following up, obviously, with all of those of you that are interested, and we'll be delighted to talk more with you. But thank you for giving your time this morning. Thank you, of course, to our presenters. So Matt, thank you very much for that, and of course to Mark for that for his excellent takeaways and his session. So enjoy the rest of your morning, and we hope to talk to you all further. Thank you very much.